Hello, me again. Thank you for coming along and joining me. Apologies for the traffic, but I've had a busy day and I didn't want to put off recording until tomorrow, so bear with, please do. And I was thinking as I was driving to the shops this morning about instruction booklets. I'd had to get my instruction booklet out to look something up about my car. And I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if we humans had an instruction booklet? No. In some cases maybe, but my instruction book can cover the whole range of the cars the same as mine. And if there's a very popular brand of car, then one book will cover a multitude. Not so for humans. We are all unique. Yes, you might find that you meet up with someone who you think is your twin, your double, but there will still be differences. There are always differences. And it's those differences that matter. It starts off right at the beginning. If you had an instruction booklet for any progeny that you were about to produce, then yes, it could maybe apply to child number 1, but then when child number 2 comes along, do you know, they have their own agenda almost from day one. They would not conform to things the way that number 1 did. You might be lucky and find that there are a lot of comparables, but otherwise, sometimes it's hard to imagine that 2 children actually came from the same parents. Are they actually from the same gene pool? They've drawn in bits from here and bits from there, and whoa, what a difference those bits have made. Would an instruction book, a log book, a record of ourselves help? I suppose that we in UK have our medical records that were in theory computerized some time ago, but that doesn't seem to have helped matters and made that information changeable from one branch of medicine to another. And anything like mine, I asked about my early records, and the earliest one was actually belonging to my mother. Dog bite, 1953. I said, that was my mum. So her later records are mixed up with my earlier records. So goodness knows what anybody would make of that. But those records, they only give facts about diagnoses, medication, advice given. All important. But as the Princess of Wales said, and I've used this quote before, I make no apologies for that, and I'm reading it because otherwise I'll get it wrong. Don't forget to nurture all that which lies beyond the disease. Exactly. So, by dint of their format, our medical records will only be a snapshot of the time of that visit and of things reported. But when things are going presumably reasonably smoothly and you don't have a need to go to see the doctor, all of that background is just as important to you, who you are, what is your problem, how the problem is being dealt with. and shouldn't be ignored, but has to be ignored because doctors haven't got the time to be dragging in all of that. They'll get the facts that they need, that they think are pertinent to your current problem. But as the princess says, don't forget to nurture all that lies beyond that disease. Because it's those backstories, those things that we push onto the back burner, those things that we hide in the metaphorical cupboard, those things that we stick in the dustbin and then think, oh, should I have really done that? Might I need that? Those things are all as important to our current state of health, especially when it comes to things like mental illness. And I had an accident with my ankle nearly 3 years ago now, and it still gives me problems. And the doctors said, well, it should have been fine after 18 months. It isn't. So I've not fitted in their little log table, their little rule book. Should have, but hasn't. And I've never been one for fitting in rule books. Maybe that's why I sort of end up in positions which can be difficult for me. But I said to the orthopedic person to whom I was talking about my ankle, I said, but it's affecting me emotionally as well. Oh, what do you mean by that? I said, because I can't get out and do my walks out in nature to help my mental health. Oh, I don't know anything about that. That's not my branch, so, don't talk about things like that to me. And for me, that was just as important as the physical pain in my ankle. But because of specialisms, he was saying, no, let's disregard that. And for all he knows, for all I know, it could be that mental health issue that is affecting the healing of my ankle, because I can't do the things that give me contentment, the things that help to keep me fit. And that focused thinking, I don't think that helps any of us, but it's the way of the world with Western medicine. And I don't like it, but that's what we've got. And then they will say, well, you've not been taking any supplements or anything, have you? No, but I use essential oils. You can hear an intaking of breath. And I told one doctor that I no longer have problem with migraines that I'd had since I was about 13, 14 years old. Regularly, 1, 2, sometimes 3-day migraines. Not walking around in town saying, oh, I've got a migraine. No. But now I have my 3 essential oils and I just take a sniff at the first visual disturbance and it doesn't develop. But they would not give that any credence. I said, it works. Well, yeah, it works for you, but probably won't work for anybody else. So it's such a shame, but that's the way of the world, unless you can have a foot in several camps. But so long as we don't forget to nurture all that lies beyond any physical problems that we have at present. So I certainly will be ensuring that I continue to appreciate these beautiful iris. I did promise that I would get them on a video. I'm just hoping that YouTube won't go, oh, when they see my statue. I hope there's sufficient coverage by the iris. If not, I shall have to re-record. On that note, and I'm facing the sun without my sunglasses on because my eye is now fully behaving, which is brilliant. And as Percy has followed me down here and has just sat on my foot, I will say thank you for joining me. Take care and make sure that you nurture the whole of you, not just the bit that is currently misbehaving. Though hopefully you've not got any bits that are misbehaving. On that note, I will speak to you soon. Take the very best care of yourself that you can. Bye for now. Bye.